So, I finished and rendered my most recent Symmetra video last Friday, and sure enough, on Saturday, Jeff Goodman reveals a lot of the possible Symmetra changes they're experimenting with on their internal servers to add to the other knowledge we've been teased with recently. Real quick, I want to point out my track record with these videos. In this video, I suggested changing Symmetra's teleporter to an ability and making her ultimate a barrier-oriented ability. A week or so later, they announced Symmetra's original rework, and about 3 months later, it went live. I also made a video about giving Mercy additional survivability options, and a year later they went and changed her ultimate completely. There was also a point where I was working on a Roadhog video when Blizzard made his last major changes, and I discontinued making it because I felt they had adjusted him accordingly. I'm not saying I'm a psychic or anything, but
bow before the Nostradamus of Overwatch.
So, Symmetra. Again. I'll keep this as brief as I can. She's most likely being moved to the defense category. I'm mixed on this. I'm not super fond of this, as it means that the support category is officially going to be solely about heroes who can heal, which I feel limits the scope of the design for any potential support hero, as they have to be able to heal is going to be part of the primary perception of the community now. But really, these role designations have always been unnecessary, as it forces certain heroes into the presumed biases towards certain usage, i.e. you can't use Torb on offense, things like that. So this isn't utterly breaking anything, it's just a little disappointing. 3 sentries max instead of 6. They have 30 HP, they deal 50 DPS instead of 25 DPS. They still slow people, I'm assuming in a double capacity. Turrets can be fired like a Pharaoh rocket, which flies slowly in a straight line until it hits a wall, whereupon it activates. I avoided changing sentry health and damage numbers in my suggestions because I was focused on adding utility or debuffs to them rather than attempting to raise the damage numbers of a support hero. These changes are interesting. Less map coverage, sure, but the double damage of each sentry and the higher health potentially preventing a lot of accidental destructions seems to make up for it. The ability to fire sentries in some capacity is one thing I did suggest in my most recent video, though. I also said it wasn't a particularly viable idea because of how weak her sentries are, but with these upcoming buffs to them, it might actually work well by allowing her to get in well-executed sneak attacks by launching turrets to the back or side of enemies while simultaneously engaging them from the front or other side. Shield generator is gone. Teleporter is now an ability. Teleporter exit can be placed up to 25 meters away. Teleporter health lowered to 300 from 400. Teleporter only lasts a short time instead of being infinite. Teleporter can currently transport things like Torb's turrets, Junkrat's rip tires, and D.Va's self-destructing mechs. I suggested Teleporter as an ability a long time ago, but I was focused on making a balanced support iteration of it, getting people who had died from spawn back to the front ASAP. This iteration is really cool from the sound of it though. You can place the exit up to 25 meters away, at which point an entrance spawns in front of you, which allows you and your team to use it for the brief window that it functions. This allows you and your team to cross great distances quickly, or immobile heroes to get into places they normally can't. Imagine Bastion on the right side balcony overlooking the final point of Hanamura on either offense or defense. Think of the positioning you can help a friendly Ana get with this version of Teleporter, or even Torbjorn and Soldier 76. I am genuinely excited to test this. Photon Projector's primary fire doesn't lock on. It's a thicker beam with an increased range. The projector's current DPS level on internal server testing is apparently 65, 130, 195, instead of 30, 60, 120, and it requires 2 seconds of dealing damage to ramp up each level instead of 1. When attacking a barrier, the projector increases its damage level and generates ammo instead of consuming it. With these tweaks, Symmetra can deal more damage than before, but she has to have the mechanical skill to better earn it. The effects of attacking barriers make sense to me from a lore perspective. She's draining the hard light of the barriers into her tool. That absorbed light, of course, charges the projector and keeps it powered for her to use as she sees fit. Energy Ball rate of fire is doubled. Energy Ball speed is tripled. Energy Ball no longer pierces enemies. It explodes on contact for 130-ish direct damage, with an unspecified splash range as well. Energy Ball fires and travels faster. That's interesting. The faster balls that explode on contact instead of piercing, though, I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it makes her more effective at controlling a space, but it also feels like that might be a bit too oppressive and infringing slightly on Junkrat's territory. I don't know. This one I feel the need to see in action before judging. Photon Barrier is now an ultimate ability. It's a static barrier wall Symmetra chooses how and where to place. It has 5,000 HP. I don't understand this ability yet. I get that it's a powerful barrier, hell, I suggested that once upon a time. But unlike my old suggestion, there's not a lot of things that are defined about this iteration yet. Apparently it casts and functions like May's Wall, but it can be, or is apparently, infinite in size, and can be thrown into a fight from spawn like a Hanzo ult because it spans across entire maps. I'm guessing the UI is like May's Ice Wall, and upon placing it, it just materializes along that line all the way across a map. That's my best guess. And that's interesting. You'd certainly have to consider placement, otherwise someone on the safe side of a wall could peck away at your barrier and destroy it before your team even has a chance to be protected by it. Really though, this is the one I'd need to see in action the most, because it's presently the most radical change to one of Symmetra's abilities, and I don't know what to think without seeing it in action. All in all, I'm disappointed to see Symmetra get moved out of the support category, but I'm excited to see what comes of these changes they're trying out and seeing what makes it to us and what doesn't. You've got a lot of people's attention, Blizz. Let's hope you get it right this time. Until next time, though, take it easy, YouTube.
Hard Light Barrier. An AoE barrier channeled by Symmetra's dancing, locking her into place that provided...
I hate you. I hate